You've sent out hundreds of applications. You've perfected your resume, and you've spent stupid amount of hours working on leak code and answering interview questions. You're using the latest AI interviewing tool, and you still don't have a job. You're still struggling to find work in today's chaos. You're still struggling in today's market. And while, yes, it is challenging, and I've had other videos about some of the tips and tricks at a tactical level you can do, I want to talk about something that's a little more, I don't know, surface level or higher level. Because the reality is, it's probably not your qualifications on why that you don't have a job. You're probably a stud. You're probably an expert engineer, an expert in your field. You probably have all of the certificates just like everybody else. So it's probably not your qualifications. And the reason you don't have a job is you're just not lucky enough. You're just not the lucky one that was responded to in the stack of resumes. You're just not lucky enough. And before you roll your eyes and click away from this video, stick around, because I want to talk about how luck is not just random. It's not make-believe. It's not bullshit. It is something that you do have, and it's something that you can manufacture. And if you've seen the title of this video and you're like, dude, you're just ripping off of Theo. Yes, I am. This video was completely inspired by Theo's take on luck and the article linked down below. And I just want to give you my perspective, because I have some unique personal stories here that may open your mind to what is lucky and unlucky here. So let's dive in. I don't believe in luck in the sense that, like, oh my gosh, you're so lucky. You have almost 3,000 people on YouTube, or you're doing side projects and you're having real valued customer conversations. I don't think of any of that as lucky. And the truth is, I don't think a lot of you feel that way too. Sure, both Theo said this in his video, and I'll say it here, we do get chirped now and again about how lucky we are to have the platforms that we have. And of course, most of you recognize, like, sure, we work for it. We post many videos every week. I've done about 86 weekly uploads. Obviously, Theo is smashing me out the water with how frequently he's uploading, but I think a lot of people out there don't believe in luck and just like, oh my gosh, I wish I was you. There's some out there, but I don't think that's the overwhelming majority of you. For me, luck, like everything else, just boils down to a math equation. And for me, luck is the time and opportunities over your surface area. And that's kind of what this article talks about, is your surface area. And here's what I mean about surface area. All of the things that you're doing, and more specifically not doing, is expanding and shrinking your surface area. How many people do you know? How many people do they know? How many projects are you working on? How many techs are you discovering? How many things are you getting involved with? What are you saying yes to? That's your surface area. Now, luck is just your time over that surface area. And if you want to get lucky or get luckier, you have two options here. You can spend more time in your surface area, or you can expand that surface area. And this is where it's like, yes, it boils down to your network. That is another tactical thing you could do to have a bigger surface area. You get involved with more opportunities by legitimately just having more opportunities. And I can't explain on how valuable your network is. I've done it in other videos and give you advice on how to expand your network, but I want to just share a vulnerable personal story about me and how I felt lucky, but in hindsight, it was just because I had a high quality surface area. And as I'm about to share this and thinking through it, it's like, it still kind of sucks to talk about. Like, we're over it. Everybody's okay. My family is healthy. Like, it's fine. We're over it. But man, did it suck. So I worked at this commercial company, and it was dealing with IoT data. Like, it was a cool job. I liked the tech we were building. I thought like the mission we were trying to solve was good and all those things. Unfortunately, that company had the same type of CEO, where it's a smaller company, you know, a couple hundreds of people, but they believe it's Silicon Valley and they treat it like Silicon Valley. So some of you I know are already like vomiting in your mouth, like toxic bro culture, what the hell. But I think some of this you all are experiencing to this day, of this like really toxic elitist type mentality where it's not good leadership. It's just masqueraded bullshit, right? So I worked at this company during COVID. This CEO came on an all hands one month and said, have no fear. Everybody's jobs is safe. We have enough money in the bank to support everyone's salary for the next year. We're doing really great. We have really healthy metrics. We have cash in the bank, right? So everybody kind of breathed a little bit, including myself. I was like, holy shit, what are we going to do? right? I didn't want to lose my job. We had just bought a house. Literally had just bought a house. We closed on our house, my first house, in May of this year. I got fired in August. So thankfully, I got fired like after I got my house, right? But holy shit, like we just spent all this money, all this preparation. I was in an apartment that would have been like much easier to negotiate in and out of. Just bought a house. And on top of that, my wife was pregnant. And not just like, oh, you're 3 weeks pregnant. I'm talking like 32 weeks pregnant or whatever she was, right? The baby was coming. So let's summarize this quickly. I just got fired from a job where the CEO was telling me all these great things about how everybody's going to stick around and blah, blah, blah. And I was the sole provider for my family. So that's part number one. I literally just closed on my very first house at a young age, didn't know what I was doing, spent a lot of money, like all sorts of stuff, right? So I just bought a house. And then the third thing is my wife was very, very pregnant with our first child. So like literally I'm a brand new parent or a parent to be, right? You're already freaking out. You're already buying all of this extra stuff that new parents and first time parents do. And for all my parents out there, you know what I'm talking about. Think of all the crap we bought for our first kids and the second and third kids. You're like, we don't need any of that garbage. So I was going through my rite of passage of home ownership, of becoming a father, all of those things. Just got fired. So what did I do, right? Well, first I cried, completely honest. Like I was fucking bawling because it's like, holy shit, the amount of stress that I had as the provider who just got fired, bought a house, about to have a baby, like overwhelming to the max. And this is where my surface area came in. Because like everybody else, I started to hit up my network, started to hit up my friends. And these aren't people that I just considered strangers that I'm cold DMing. Like these were people that I had really, really high quality relationships. And fortunately for me, because I was lucky, I got hired within a week. I got hired and received a job offer so quick after just getting canned on a Friday morning that the remainder of my time between getting fired and starting my new job was low-key like a vacation. And maybe that sounds like braggadocious or whatever, but it was. I had a secure job coming and I could breathe again. I could spend the time like painting a nursery or trying to get my house together because we just closed on it. I could spend the time there because I wasn't having to search around and sling resumes 4,000 different times. And I think a lot of us feel that taking these risks or building this network or doing these things is really easy when you have a lot of cushion to lean on. I literally had none. I had no cushion. I had no big savings. I was still young and dumb with my money. I was financially irresponsible and I had no cushion. I had no plan B. I had no side product that I'm like, okay, I'm going to double down on this and make some dollars on it. I had nothing. But because I had a surface area and because I maintained those quality relationships and I built that network, blood, sweat, and tears over many, many years, I had people that picked up the phone when I needed them. And I'm proud of those relationships. I'm happy that I know I would pick up the phone for them and they showed up for me when I needed them the most too. So this isn't luck. This is time and opportunities over your surface area. And if you want to get luckier and if you want to have better opportunities to get jobs, you got to build that surface area. We all have the same amount of time. Everybody out there is working just as hard as you are. Surface area is going to be the cheat code that allows you to excel on past them. So now maybe a little more tactical because you know me, I gave you the sob story. Now I want to give you some real tactical things. Look, when you're networking with people and you come with an agenda, they can smell that shit a mile away. If you're reaching out to people on LinkedIn and you're like, hey man, and that's all you send, I already know you're going to ask them about a job opportunity, where they're working, you're trying to recruit them, like you're trying to do something for a gain, whether it's an internal referral for you so you can cash out on it, or you're literally just struggling and trying to find a job. And if you don't believe me, look in your LinkedIn right now. Go to your LinkedIn, go to your Instagram DMs, go to your Facebook messages, whatever platform you're using. When is the last time that you reached out to somebody and just said, hey, I miss chatting with you. Do you want to grab a coffee? I miss hanging out. I miss working together. When's the last time you messaged an old boss or manager? You know, the high quality ones that you liked working for. Like, when's the last time you said, hey, I really appreciated this thing that you did for me. Here's what I'm doing in life. Let's catch up. When's the last time you called somebody? And this is what I mean that especially on LinkedIn, the professional platform, everybody can smell that bullshit a mile away. And I think one of the tactical things that you could do is just build that surface area by reaching out to people literally just to check in on them. Be a good person. And I think that is so overlooked, especially in today's age where we are slinging resume applications, day in and day out. The market is challenging right now. Maybe I got lucky before because I was in a better market. I'll buy into that, I guess. But I also put in a shit ton of work to maintain those relationships outside of saying, hey, I want something from you. So my real advice here is to give before you take. Reach out, have fun, and be a good person. Spend some time building that network. And I believe, truly to the heart here, I believe that you will see a genuine, significant difference, not only in your life, but in the opportunities in the surface area that you have for the rest of your career. And I think the last piece of tactical advice here is check yourself via self-reflection or having one-on-ones with your bosses and see, are you always just trying your hardest when it's a formal engagement? And in the article, they talk about a Michelin chef, right? So they say a Michelin chef, even if he's just cooking at home, is still going to be way above your average good cooker because they care about the little details. And they're always, even if they're making a damn sandwich, they are putting in so much finesse on what they're doing because it's important to them. They're trying their hardest all the time because anything less than trying their hardest would be an embarrassment. And maybe that sounds strict. Maybe that sounds a little, you can chill some days, right? But I agree with what the author in this article is saying. I think a lot of folks just show up when they need to do it for a formal engagement, whether that be interviews, but I also see this a lot with younger engineers for demos. They'll show up and they'll try to have a really polished demo. Here's the thing that I want to show you. It's perfect. I love it. And then they don't demo again until 6 weeks later when the next ship goes out and they have to do it again. This is something I think we're missing. I think we need to be spending more time trying to exercise our expertise and treat it like we're always in that fishbowl. And for some of you, this might be stressful. And if you need to build that muscle of walking into it, go ahead. I encourage you to take it a little slow. But for the rest of us, act like you're in the fishbowl. Act like everyone can see you and everyone's paying attention. The beauty of this is nobody's paying attention, but the skill and muscle that you will build is that you'll hold yourself to a standard above what you're currently employed at, what you're considered, all of those things. You'll run at the standard of the next level. And I think that's going to help you along your career more than you can imagine. And I spent a lot of time hiring devs. I spent a lot of time doing one-on-ones and mentoring. And one of the best pieces of advice that I got when I was coming up and that I'm trying to instill down to my developers is if you want to go from a junior to a senior engineer, most companies want to see you act and carry yourself as a senior engineer so that they know that you're ready to go to the next phase. Most companies won't just promote you to a senior engineer and say, well, he'll fill the shoes. No, they want you busting out of your junior engineer shoes before they go and buy you the new pair. So I don't know. What do you all think about this? Is it luck? Is it a simple math equation of time and opportunities over your surface area? What are you doing to build your surface area? These conversations and topics and things I want to build a community with. Here on YouTube, in the comment section, in the post, now that YouTube has this little post page, I want to talk about these things because I don't think enough influencers are talking about the nitty gritties. I think they're talking about tech and showing you how to use tech, which is great. It's a very helpful resource. I think they're showing you POVs and day in the lives of how they're living this glamorous lifestyle. But I want to no shit, sit at the coffee table with you, have a fun drink. Mine's a little Pepsi Zero today, and just chat. Chat as if I was giving you the guidance that I wish I would have had when I was a junior engineer, because I think a lot of people feel alone out there. And I want you to know that you're not alone, and I got your back. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit the sub button down below. It really does help the channel a lot. If you haven't given a thumbs up yet, give me one of those and hit the bell. But with that, I appreciate you all, and I'll see you next week. Peace.